Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of America in Black and White. Tonight, we have a very special show for those of you that are looking to get into entrepreneurship, or if you are an entrepreneur, we have a very special guest that's got some nuggets that's going to help you in fulfilling these needs and the things that you want to do to be successful in your business career. Our guest tonight is Mr. Ed Bailey. Mr. Bailey has spent the past 25 years guiding businesses to prosperity with expertise in business development, strategy, analytics, and human capital. Ed currently leads Polymath Performance, where he helps people and organizations performance through coaching and systems. Ed has experience and expertise as a corporate leader, McKinsey, Google, LinkedIn, and Cisco, an entrepreneur, a sports agent, and in public service as a school board member in California and a trustee for his alma mater, Michigan State University. Ed received his master's in business administration and a master of arts in education from Stanford University and a bachelor of science degree with a dual concentration in mathematics and finance from Michigan State University. A native of Chicago, Illinois, Ed is based in Northern California, where he lives with his wife and his daughter. Ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you all Mr. Ed Bailey. What is going on?
There we go.
Hello, Mr. Bailey. How are you, sir?
I'm well, Charles. How you doing?
I'm doing just excellent. Sorry for these little small hiccups here. For some strange reason, the internet don't want to act right.
And that's life, liberty, and the pursuit of
so did I
happiness.
In that introduction?
Yeah. Yes, you read it perfectly. And my 3-year-old daughter is under my seat right now. Will likely interrupt and cheer and have something to say. So hopefully your viewers will enjoy that.
Great. So, is there anything else you'd like to add to that you want our audience to know?
No, I mean, I'm sure we'll have a conversation, and whatever relevant needs to pop up will pop up.
Okay. So I guess we can get to going here. If you could tell our audience, how do you define business development in today's rapidly evolving landscape? And what strategies do you believe are essential for sustainable growth?
Really good question. So, I have two particular sayings. One is, if you don't have customers, you don't have a business. And the second thing is that businesses have to be good at two things. The first is sales and marketing, and the second is something else. It almost doesn't matter what that something else is. So in other words, ultimately, business development comes down to your ability to attract new customers using a system that's repeatable, and then also being able to work more with customers you've already worked hard to gain in order to extend the customer life cycle and customer lifetime value. If you do those two things, ultimately, you have the chance to build a foundation for a strong business. And if you don't, 100% of businesses have an end. That kind of business will come to an end more quickly than others.
Tell me, when you work with for the ones that you have with, were they all like in one particular genre or industry, or were they diverse in the companies that you worked with?
A really good question. So I've worked with companies in pretty much every industry since the beginning of my career at McKinsey. I've worked with businesses of all sizes, from right at the beginning up to, billions of dollars. Industries, media and entertainment, e-commerce, high tech, manufacturing, education, you name it, you've done it. Christian, do you want to say hi? And then, mostly, I'm in the business of being a dad first and foremost, so that comes first. But ultimately, how I teach business is you have to be fundamental in your unit economics. So you have to understand the formula of who your customer is, how you go about attracting them, how you line up the offer to what they're looking for, and then how can you do that on a repeatable basis?
Okay. So when you're working with these companies, I mean, do you help implement different systems or is it you perfect?
Well, I think it's both. I think what's important in the work that I do is my ultimate goal is to meet business owners where they are. And so what I do is go through a diagnostic process to figure out, is sales or customer acquisition the biggest challenge, or is there another challenge that you're dealing with? And I have a 25-point process that I can go through to help any business owner understand exactly where they are and whether sales and customer acquisition and customer retention is their biggest problem, or if their problem is something else. If selling is the biggest problem and the business understands its unit economics, or in other words, if I spend $500 to acquire a customer, I know consistently I'm going to get 3,000 back, versus when they don't understand how much they spend to acquire a customer and how much they can get, how much they're going to get back, then I have to go through a process to help them figure that out before we implement whatever system. So the key is you have to diagnose and figure out where you as a business owner are, whether you understand how to acquire new customers, whether you understand how much it costs you to acquire new customers, if you understand how much they're going to spend with you, and you understand how to extract that value. So if you don't have a system to do that already, I can help you create and implement one. And if you do have a system, I can help you make it better, because at the end of the day, as business owners, we do the work for our customers, but we also do the work for our family. And so what's really, really important is you want to generate cash flow. You want to generate enterprise value. And so everything that I work on, everything that I do with the business owner is targeted towards those goals.
Okay. Can you share some insights on how businesses can leverage analytics to make informed decisions and drive strategic initiatives effectively?
Okay, so data is a hot topic right now, particularly with e-commerce and particularly with everything that's going on with generative AI. I think the first level of understanding is you have to know how your business works. And so you have to collect the right data, both from your customers and about your operations, to actually know what are the 3 to 5 key metrics that are important to me and my business in order to move forward. And then you have to have systems, and the system could be pen and paper, it could be an Excel spreadsheet, it could be online software, but you have to have a way of tracking, okay, these are the 5 numbers for my business that are important to know whether it's healthy or not, and have a way to check in on that daily, ideally, but at a minimum weekly. And then once you have that weekly rhythm going, you have to be able to know, okay, for each particular metric in your system, if it's not trending in the direction you want it to, how can you go about implementing and making a series of changes to be able to get that metric on track and get your business back to where you want to go? And so you can't do that without a source of truth, and that's where data comes in. And what I find is most business owners either have way too much data and they don't know what to do with it, or they have a lot of data, but it's actually not the right data that's most relevant for decision making. So data, just like word of mouth, just like testimonials, is all information, but the information needs to be put in a system where you understand day in, day out when you wake up, here is what I have to do to be successful. The most successful business owners that I know exactly what to do, exactly what's important, and exactly what to prioritize. They aren't coming in firefighting every day. They aren't running to the emergency of the moment. They have a system, they have a process that they execute and that they know works. And the way that you know that process works is you have the analytics and the tracking capabilities to do that.
Wow, that's interesting. From your perspective, what role does human capital play in shaping an organization's success, and how can companies invest to foster growth?
Okay, so I actually think people are the most important part of every business. And ultimately, once you go through putting in systems, putting in technology, product market fit, all the stuff the business gurus tell you about, your people are going to be the difference of defensible excess revenue and excess profit. Now, what do I mean by that? Let's take two people. Let's take one person who really loves their job, is really committed to their job, and really skilled at their job, and comfortable that they're at the right place. They are going to give you 120 to 150% of their effort. Now, let's take a person who's not skilled, disgruntled, a bad culture fit, toxic. That person's going to give you 30% of their effort. The difference between 150% and 30% is 5x. There are not many things in business you can do to get 5x return between best and worst. And so people are the key to having a long-term profitable enterprise. Now, as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, it's your job to actually put people in the right position to be successful. And what I find is people are good at judging what they themselves are good at. People are good at figuring out who they trust. Individuals aren't necessarily good at figuring out what someone else is good at and where someone else can add value. So if you want to make a difference as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, one of the skills you have to be really good at is learning how to figure out quickly what someone is good at, what someone's zone of genius is, and designing their job to operate in that zone of genius as much as possible. So that's one way to be successful. The other way to be successful is that your business systems are so clear and your processes are so clear and the tasks are so well outlined that you can bring in a new person who has the right behavioral traits, has the right character, teach them your process, and a new person can execute it over and over again every single time without fail. And so in business, you're normally going to have a balance of those two types of people in your enterprise at any given time if you're running it successfully. But that's what it has to be. Either the person has to be, you have to design it so that person can get the max out of their ability and their enjoyment, which will lead to their effort, which will lead to their output. Or you have to have the tasks that are needed spelled out to such a degree that you could do it what I call rolling out of bed.
So let me do a follow up on that. So in this case,
okay,
I mean, does HR play an important role in this, or if let's say if the company doesn't have an HR department, and that's one of those things that they're kind of like lacking at, and putting people in those proper places, is this where when you come in to help a business, is this some of the things that you would be doing for that business?
Yes. So to answer the question in reverse, so that's the hallmark of Polymath Performance ultimately. Whether you run a business by yourself, you have 20 people, you have 200 people, you have 20,000 people, and we've worked in all of those environments. What we specialize in is once we understand your business, how you gain customers, how you go to market, at some point it comes down to, okay, let's figure out the people. Let's figure out the most important roles. Let's make sure the right people are in those roles. And let's make sure everyone has the right alignment of both. I call it skill and will. The skill to get the job done and the will to do it as much as possible. You need that. And so one of the things that I spend a lot of time with business owners on is starting with the team that they manage. Is everybody in the right seat? Is everyone delivering the right amount of value? And I make them put a number to it. If you're paying someone $100,000 and you're spending 20% of your money on people, that person that you're giving $100,000 to needs to create $500,000 in revenue, or else your business model breaks. Your unit economics are incorrect. And when I ask business owners these questions, either it's the first time they've thought about it, or they know the answer is that they don't know, or they know the answer is that person can't possibly create that much value. And in all of those cases, if you don't know, it's like, okay, well, so what are you giving them that much money for? And it's crazy. I've seen businesses who spend not 20% of their labor, because that's kind of low from what I see, 30%, 40%, 50%, 70% of their revenue goes to employees, and they can't translate whether that employee is creating the right amount of revenue in order for the business to be sustainable. And you won't last long. there's just too many people who are doing things correctly, that if you aren't aligned in terms of your employees and what they're capable of and precisely how much value they add and precisely how efficiently and effectively that happens, someone will come. If you have a lead, someone will come from behind and catch you. And if you're going after a leadership position in your market, you'll fail. The cars ahead of you are just too fast. Their engines are too good.
Wow, no, that's very interesting, because that kind of sounds like some companies, what you're saying, are spending too much on labor when they have someone in place. And if they're spending, let's say, force, would you could that to be a very high number, or could that be a number that could actually be to the point that you're going to be nonprofit? You're not going to have a profit, shall I say?
Yeah, I haven't seen too many businesses that spend 60-70% of their labor and are profitable, both in terms of like the balance sheet and the income statement, profitable from the accounting perspective. But more importantly, I imagine for many of your users, what they care about is the cash that goes into their family, the cash that allows them to live the life that they want. Many entrepreneurs have a vision for what they want in terms of business and in terms of outcomes, but they also have a vision for the life that they want. And the fuel to that life is cash flow. And if your business is not creating cash flow, then you're just self-employed. And if you look at the tax system in the US, self-employed is the category that gets punished the most. And so that is not where you want to be. The tax code rewards people who make money from investments and make money from building businesses and create jobs for people. That's where you want to be. Literally, the only part of the tax code that talks about how much tax you pay is that table that says if your adjusted gross income is $100,000, you should pay this amount. That's it. The rest of it is designed to help people provide jobs, provide investment capital so that things can keep going. And so the reason you want to understand the unit economics and you want to invest the right amount in people is because you want to have leverage to be able to do other things. And if you spend 70% of your money on labor and all of a sudden you're in a bad market for a period of a year or 2 years and you lose 20% of your revenue, then everything you've built's at risk. Whereas if you spend 20% of your revenue on people and you have systems that work effectively, where you can spend, $10,000 on marketing and turn that into $50,000 right away, wouldn't you rather be able to do that and generate net new customers or expand relationships with existing customers and be safe versus investing it in people where the return on investment for those people is unclear? I think that's the definition of insanity. What do you think?
I definitely agree with that. What are some key metrics or KPIs that businesses should prioritize when assessing their performance and identify?
Well, so first of all, you have to understand how you make revenue. And so, revenue comes down to price times quantity in its very simplest form. And so you need to know how much you can expect from any given customer on the first purchase and over the course of 12 months. And you would be surprised how many business owners, if you pull them over on the street and you ask them that, they don't have a clear answer. So that's the first clear answer you need, because if you don't know how much income and how much revenue you're generating, you won't know whether you're using your income for expenses in the right way to generate either more business for more customers or cash flow for yourself as a business owner. So that's the first thing. The second thing is you need to know how much it costs for you to be able to get a new customer from scratch. And the reason that's important is one of the biggest things that I see is that business owners price their products and services incorrectly. And they do so because they don't understand how much it actually costs to acquire a customer. And so if I were to tell you, okay, Charles, I know that based on all the testing we've done, it costs $100 to acquire a customer. And your average customer's first purchase is $70. Is that a business that's going to be successful? No, not unless you get that customer to buy 4 times and you know exactly how to do that. That's not going to work. But so many businesses make decisions without understanding those key metrics. So they don't know where they need to invest. And so really understanding, okay, what can I expect from each customer? And what do I have to do to get that expectation? That is the hallmark of the top line of the business. And if you don't understand that, it's very difficult to get the rest, the non-sales, non-marketing part of the business structure right. Because you don't know, okay, do I have a lot of money and therefore I need technology to move forward? Or do I have a lot of money and I need people? Or am I cash strapped and I need technology to streamline and make things efficient? Or am I cash strapped and do I need a couple people who know how to do everything so that I don't have to specialize? You can't answer those questions until you know how much wiggle room you have at the top. And I will tell you, most times, once I get those answers, I have to have tough conversations with my business owners, because a lot of times they've priced incorrectly and they've been doing it for so long. It's really hard to reset expectations. And so they have to go through the process of aligning the business expense structure to the reality of their revenue and customer acquisition structure, and then building it back up. And no one wants to go through the process of layoffs and firing people and things like that, because we got into business not only for ourselves, but to help people do well. But you have to be organized correctly at the top in terms of knowing your customer revenue and knowing your cost of acquisition, so that you can build the rest of the business around that. And whereas what I've seen is most people build up the cost structure, decide what price they think is fair, and hope they sell enough of it to meet the goal. That doesn't work. And if it works for a little while, you're going to run into a point where it doesn't work. And then you're going to have some very tough, ugly choices. And I want people to be happy. That's why that's why I do this work.
So tell me this, for one of the, as you're working with business and so forth, when you're talking about sales and so forth, do you use one of those CSM systems, or do you do this from just an algorithm that you use, math?
So when you say CSM, do you mean like a customer relationship management system or something like that? I just want to make sure we're taking this down the right path. Yeah, so
Yes.
It depends on the business, right? Some business owners have enough customers and have a level of sophistication where that can be valuable. But technology is only as valuable as you know what to do with, right? And so, again, my philosophy is you have to meet people where they are. If you have like 10 customers and you have a deal flow where you're talking to 3 to 5 new prospects a week, a CRM's overkill. But if you have 10,000 customers, you shouldn't operate without one. And so you have to look at the situation and design for the level that you're at. And at the beginning level, you have to figure out the simplest way to attract and acquire net new customers until you have enough volume where adding technology, adding systems makes sense. But like, you have to have the prototype down to a science so you can add to it, so that you can buy the right software, you can buy the right systems, you can hire the right people in management. That's another thing I see many business owners do too soon, is they want to pick the technology and they want to pick the process before they know the business that they're in. And a lot of times I come in and I, help them recognize what business they're in, and they have all the wrong stuff and all the wrong tools to be able to manage effectively and grow it and scale it, which scale isn't a word that I love. And I think it kind of comes from like the tech internet era where everyone's trying to have IPO and blow up fast. And that's just not the reality for most businesses, even the ones you hear about on the news. Because if you hear about something in the media, whether it's traditional media, social media, it's likely been cooking underneath the surface for 3, 5, 10 years. But we're in an instant gratification and instant success story society. And so people believe that things need to be sped up at a higher pace than what they are. And what you really need to focus on is making sure you solve problems for people and you can get compensated appropriately for delivering those solutions at a quality level. Go ahead, Charles, whenever you're ready. My daughter's just entertaining. Did I lose you, Charles?
Okay. We got. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now, but if you're talking for the last minute, I couldn't hear you.
Okay. So I'm wondering, is that your internet or is that mine?
It looks like it looks like it's yours.
Okay. It could be. In your experience, how can business effectively align their strategic goals with their human capital management strategies to maximize productivity and employee satisfaction?
Well, we started on this path a little bit earlier, so let me go deeper. First, you have to understand what your business is actually trying to do. And as you start that process, what I would say is document everything. And so the first way you take on an activity, whether it's writing a sales script or designing a store or putting together a website or putting together a social media strategy, the first thing you have to do is put it together manually. And so you can figure out how it works and what tasks matter and what tasks don't. And one thing I always talk about that I see companies making a mistake over and over again is that someone gets hired when a different employee, whether it's the owner or someone else, has 5 hours of work too much to do, or 10 hours of work too much to do, or 20 hours of work too much to do. When in reality, if we expect our employees to work 40 hours a week and they only have 10 to 15 hours of real work, guess what they're going to do? They're going to give 25 hours. They're going to give 20 to 25 hours of work. They're going to make it up. And when they make it up, you aren't going to be able to get that time back. And so that's the biggest challenge that I see is, Christian, hi, I need you to get down, okay? Okay.
I got my earphones on. I made them on.
You did a good job. So back to what I was saying. At the end of the day, what happens oftentimes is we have to be thoughtful about how we hire and how we bring people in. First, we need to bring people in when there's actually 40 hours or a little bit more of work to do. And we have to have that work defined well enough so that we can actually pick the right person with not only the right skill set, because I think when we hire, we think heavy on skill set, heavy on technique, and not enough on behavior and not enough on character. You can train someone specific techniques if you understand what matters. You are not going to change anyone's character or behavior unless they want. And I watch companies spend so much money trying to, and so much time trying to change behavior and character when you have to draft for that. You develop technique, you draft for character, you draft for behavior. And so that's how you align strategy with human capital is you allocate the right time to the right stuff. You make sure you understand exactly what the role is and how it fits into the strategy and what behaviors and characters are must have for the people in that role. And then you design your hiring process and your development process to pick for character, for behavior. And then you build the internal capability to train for the technical.
As technology continues to disrupt traditional business models, strategies to remain competitive while also fostering innovation.
So in order to innovate, you have to start from a place that works. And I find that sometimes, and I've had business owners like this, they love technology so much they want to make sure they put the new thing into their business without really understanding why and if it's useful for them. And what I would say to that is just slow down. Technology can make something faster. Technology can make something easier. Technology can make something better. Technology can't make something. So there has to be something foundationally that works somewhat in order for technology to be a net add. And you have to know exactly the level you're at and the next level that you want to go to before picking the right technology. And so you can't just bring in the next hot thing without, again, doing the internal work to understand what matters.
I'm gonna see. I hope that this don't continue because it looks like with the way the internet is like going in and out here, and it's like you're starting and it's like it's chopping you up like really, really bad. I'm gonna ask you this question here. If this continues after that, I would have to chat with you after so we can like reschedule this if that's gonna be okay. Because this is kind of like all this good information that you're giving. I know it's gonna be kind of choppy for folks to listen.
I understand.
Can you discuss the importance of diversity? Can you discuss the importance of diversity? Okay.
Okay.
What about now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you now.
Okay.
So you asked about discussing the...
Yeah. Can you discuss the importance of diversity and inclusion in workplace and how it contributes to organizational success and innovation?
Okay. So this is a really important topic. Diversity and inclusion are important. And it's most important when you're dealing with a new problem, with a novel problem. It's because with the new and a novel problem, you need many different perspectives because you don't know where the answers are going to come from. Now, anytime I've done work with the big companies that you've mentioned, I never started with diversity and inclusion. I started with, we have a big, important problem to solve that we don't have an answer for. Because of that, we need all of our best minds. And because of that, we need to create an environment where everyone feels comfortable showing up and giving their best. That's why you want diversity. That's why you want inclusion. Now, if you have all the answers and you have a very clear understanding of what it takes and what type of person it takes to get the job done, well, you need that person. And so you go find that person. But more business situations are fit into the new and novel category versus the tried and true category. And that's where it's important to make sure you have all types of people from all types of backgrounds because you don't know who has the right answer. And you can't assume that because of someone's rank or because someone's a title or because someone's function that they know how to solve a new problem that none of you have faced before. And so that's where I believe companies are missing out is they don't have a way to make sure all of their minds, all of their people can share all of their gifts. And as we talked about before, people are where your profits are going to come from after you do all of the other work for systems and sustainability and things like that.
Okay. This is I want to apologize because this is like, it seems like this is like getting worse and it's chopping you up at the wrong time.
Yep.
Is there a way that we can actually we can do a show because this information that you're putting out is very, very important. So, I know it's more than fruitful knowledge that a lot of people will definitely want to hear, but I definitely need to check on this issue here so I can get this done right. I'll be in touch with you, and I would love to reschedule this if that's possible with you, sir.
Yeah, of course, no problem. I can see like the screen on your end is kind of grainy and stuff. So that's just probably some kind of internet or connection issue. And if you want help troubleshooting, I'm happy to help you do that.
All righty. Hey, thanks. I definitely appreciate that. Let's just go back and I'll reschedule this and I'll set up another time with you.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
All right. Hey, thank you. I appreciate your time.
You got it.